It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hi.
What's her title again?
I had to switch it up.
Nobody's asking you your state of mind, Liz. Just move on.
How are you guys doing?
Doing fine.
What he said.
Yeah, cheerful.
Ditto.
Ditto?
Ditto.
Ditto, you provincial putz.
Always gotta get a Blazing Saddle reference here. I hope everybody out there is doing okay. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well, I was told to keep this short.
Not
But
on our cap. Come on.
You know, if
And
you're just going to
actually-
jump in front of the bus, there's not anything I can do for you. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
see, and this was the week I was praising Les, so I'm good.
Oh, ouch. Holy cow.
No, I took some of Les's suggestions from our last show, and he had some really good suggestions.
What?
Yeah, I know. I was,
I'm taken aback.
right. I watched Paper Girls. That was really good.
You
It
like
was
that?
really, really good. I laughed. I cried. There was a couple of moments there that, as a mother and as a woman, I wanted to hug that child. But it was pretty good. I tried to get Brandon into that one, and he's like, maybe. But that's on Amazon if anyone wants to watch that one. After watching some of this, I remember some of the comic. I don't think I read past the first arc, which is what this appears to be. And there's one scene in there where the girls are, she's riding a motorcycle. And I know this is going to sound so crazy, but the way the girl was with the other girl behind her, it's like, you know what? I remember that cover. That's how good this was, because it was like that was straight up one of the covers to the comic books, So I think they did really good at keeping true to that. I hated the way it ended, but it's kind of like after you watch it and you sit back and digest for a minute, I realize why they did that, because, there is going to be a season 2 and they left that wide open. I just hate it when you go into a story and you don't get closure. And I guess I haven't, like I said, I haven't read past the first arc of Paper Girls. I guess that's kind of the way they opened that series up, though. It's kind of a series of events to get these girls back home. So, like I said, completely understand it. But anytime you watch a series and you're like, I want more, that's a good thing, So I'm not saying that as a bad thing, or it was bad that they did it that way. It was just really good, and I wanted more.
Sure.
I think that was only 8 episodes?
Yeah.
And it seemed like the 8th episode, when you first start it, you're like, there's no way they're going to be able to wrap this up. There's just absolutely no way. Everything that happens in the 8th episode, I mean, there was a couple of times you're just like, wow, what? So they did a really good job of wrapping that story. Like I said, story's not completely wrapped, but that little episode was wrapped up pretty good. I liked that. And I did not see it coming at all. So I liked that. but that's on Amazon. I also watched The Sandman. Once again, they killed it. Absolutely killed it. Um, I've said this before, but usually when there's something I really, really want to see and I don't want to see spoilers on it, I'll block it out to where, I can unbiasedly go in and watch it. So after unblocking Sandman, I'm kind of sad that I did that because I'm seeing some of the responses to it. And people, if it was a lack of story, if it was bad acting, if it was something, I could understand some complaints, but the things that people are bitching about now, it's kind of like, wow, tell me you've never been into the Sandman universe without telling me you've never been there, This read strictly as Gaiman's work. I know there was a couple of adaptations that had to be made. I mean, you have to when you're putting one medium into a next, but I think he did it very well. The one thing I had the most hardest time wrapping my mind around is I was a big Lucifer fan when it was on Fox, and then it went over to Netflix for 2 seasons. I've always been a big fan of Lucifer. What Sandman is right now is what happened before Lucifer left to go to LA. So it's kind of neat seeing they, without reading the comic book, if you were just, watching the series and stuff, it kind of explained to you what happened to make Lucifer finally go, I'm out of here, and that was really cool to see. I love who they have playing Lucifer. I can't remember her name, but she was Captain Phasm in Star Wars. Blonde-headed girl. God, I can't remember her name. But she did an amazing job. Absolutely amazing job. Desire. I don't know the kid's name who's playing that. And I'm only saying kid because I remember this kid from iCarly. And it was so weird to see him play this part, But he absolutely nailed it. I want, at the end of this series, once again, where we know this is just a slight, this is probably not even the intro to his comic books. So I'm excited to see where it goes. But unlike Paper Girls, they completely wrapped the story. If they never made another one now, I mean, yeah, they kind of left that, I won't go into what the cliffhanger on is. They did put a cliffhanger in there, but we have our host story. And this one is basically about Dream or Morpheus being captured and getting his things back. If I could reach out and slap Gammon for one thing, it would be Gilbert. I cried, and I cried about Gilbert. He is a gargoyle that Dream made, and after he's been captured, it was pretty much the only remaining thing that Dream had made that still existed. So I won't go into detail there, but it sucked. I know why they had to do it, but it sucked really, really, really badly. And yeah. They were showing a behind the scenes of that, how they were, the actor was with the animatronic and stuff. And it got to a certain point, and I stopped it, and I was like, nope, I am not doing that scene again. I will never watch that scene again because that just sucked, The only thing that was weird about Sandman, this one has 10 episodes, and it pretty much split down the middle. The first 5 episodes has a whole different feel and purpose to it than the last 5 episodes. And I really enjoyed the first 5 more than the last 5. Not saying I didn't enjoy them, but I really liked the mythical, endless beings first, going into those and finding out who they are. I liked that a lot better than the whole showdown thing. But that was still pretty good too. And then the last thing Les recommended that I watch was Hollywoodland. I didn't know that Ben Affleck had been Superman, so that was kind of weird. And I kind of liked the way that they showed you, here's 4 different ways it could have happened, or maybe more, but here's 4 different ways it could have happened. So they never really spelt it out for you and said, here's what we think, and they kind of left that up to the viewer to decide which scenario do you believe, so I liked that. It was kind of weird because what I had said about the kids kind of was touched upon on that movie too, and the impact that it made on them and things. So it was pretty good. So yeah, I took all of your suggestions, and like I said, I all of them pretty good. I'm happy. Like I said, those Sandman and Paper Girls, definitely binge worthy. If set it out for a weekend or something, because those are pretty good, and especially Paper Girls. It was kind of, when the end of the episode came up, it was like, come on, get to the next part. What's gonna happen? So they constantly keep you guessing, and I like that. I like that without confusing the audience. It's good to not really show them, here's how it's gonna go. But it was kind of cool because in the last episode, they kind of show you, now here's all the Easter eggs we've been dropping here that you didn't pick up on, and now here they all are. So, but yeah, I said both of those I think are very good comic adaptations. If people didn't like them outside of you're mad because Lucifer's a girl or there was several transgender people in this, I don't want to hear that, but I would like to hear, outside of those, if you didn't like this, I'd like to hear why. Just my own morbid curiosity, But I don't feel that this was a thing where they shoved any of that down your throat. And I think it's kind of funny that people are upset about a endless being asexual. I mean, they're not human. You can't. Yeah. So yeah, it was kind of like, that's just kind of a given. But yeah, like I said, I loved it. It tears my heart out, the defending Gammon has to do on Twitter right now for his work. I would like to ask those people, do you want the Sandman to go back to what it was, 30 years before Gammon got a hold of it? We had a guy running around in yellow tights throwing sand at people. It was not a good Sandman.
That was a different character, though. That was a crime fighter that used the sand to put his adversaries asleep. Yeah.
And when they asked Gammon if he could do Sandman, he was like, I can, but I ain't going to do it like that. So I like the direction he took that into. But actually in Sandman, there is a little Easter egg of the Sandman in the yellow tights and stuff. So that was kind of cute too. And then people are upset about John Constantine. John Constantine actually, I assumed, I haven't seen it actually spelt out this way, but they have a project going on right now for John Constantine. He's being used somewhere. I don't think that Gammon and who did this? Netflix. I don't think they had the rights to John Constantine. I don't see DC going, yeah, you can use them when they've already got that poker in the fire somewhere. But I love Johanna. She's been in Hellblazer. Lady Johanna has also been in Hellblazer. So even that wasn't that big of a stretch, I know in the comic book it's actually John that's in the comic book, but who cares? It was good. I liked the way they handled that. So, but and Constantine wasn't in. I don't know, is it Constantine or Constantine? I think they said it both ways in the film.
But I think the American pronunciation would be Constantine.
Constantine.
Right.
And so I guess him being British, that's why they were saying Constantine.
Probably.
But yeah. But she's a major character, but she's not, if that makes any sense. Sandman's kind of broke down into every episode is like a story. And although the main story is still going on, it's like each episode had a different story going on. Does that make sense? Kind of like with Supernatural. There was a different background story for what the whole season was about, but every episode was a different monster. And that's kind of the way Sandman is. Not a different monster, but it's like a different story being told every episode. So I kind of liked that too. So, yeah. So there was a couple of things in there that broke my heart. But once again, anytime you can make an audience feel, cry, laugh, it's good. You've done a really good job. So,
that's how
well
it's supposed
done.
to work anyway.
Yep. I loved it. And like I said, I've been a fan of Gammon's work. He just has this dark sense through his work, and you definitely felt that through this. So I liked it. For those that didn't, I don't know what to tell you. You need to go back and read the comic books then,
Yeah.
Yeah. But next week, I was going to watch it today and I didn't. Hulu's released a new Predator called Prey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? That came out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I heard there is a rescue dog in this movie that absolutely stole every scene. So definitely have to watch that. And if the dog dies, I'm rioting.
They're not going to kill the dog anymore. They know better. They're not going to kill the dog. Unless they're actively trying to piss people off, they're not going to kill the dog.
Somebody needs to tell that to Gaiman and Gilbert. Don't do that.
You weren't supposed to give away stuff for that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Honestly, that right there was another thing that was straight out of the comic book. So.
Spoilers for a 30-year-old comic.
Right. And it was one of the things that happened in the beginning because, like I said, I read that. I knew it was coming. But the whole time it was coming, it was like, no, they're not going to do this. He's not going to do this. It's like, God damn it. He did it. Fucker did it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the first 2 episodes crush you. I mean, and it's kind of cool because in a way that's kind of what Dream and Morpheus, that's what he's feeling is being crushed. So you kind of take the viewers through that despair and just crushing feeling that he has at this point. So, well done. I liked it.
Yay. Liz, seal of approval.
Yeah, for sure.
I was being sarcastic because that was all everybody was talking about on Twitter this weekend was Prey.
Yep.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
See, my timeline's filled with dogs. My rescue groups, they were talking about a dog. So, no spoilers, just that it's a cute dog. Looks like a dingo, maybe?
Dingo was his name-o?
Mm-hmm. And then I heard that they adopted this dog just for the movie. I mean, of course, they took him home after and everything else, but he wasn't an actor dog. He wasn't trained or anything. And their first thought was, we're just going to put him in the least amount of scenes we can because he's not a trained dog. But they said he did so well and just like stole the scene that he's in a lot more of the movie than they had planned to. So it's like, oh,
that's nice.
Of course. And it's kind of a rags to riches story. Here's a shelter dog who was on its way to dying, and now he's a movie star, and people all over the world know who he is. That's awesome.
Commanding Brad Pitt money.
Yeah.
I mean,
so 2 balls up for Prey.
a movie you haven't seen yet. Okay, fair enough.
Oh, if a dog can already steal this scene, it's a good movie. If I'm just watching the dog, it's a good movie.
Right. Well, watch it and then tell us it's a good movie.
Yes.
Neat.
Well, I mean, it got high praise from Bill Duke and oh God, I'm blanking on the name.
The other guy.
Jesse Ventura.
Huh.
Because when I'm looking for a movie review, I look to the former governor of Minnesota.
Well, considering everything else that was being thrown around about that movie this weekend, it just...
But isn't one of the other actors the governor of California?
Is he actually in this?
No.
Right.
No, but
okay.
they were in the first one.
Yeah, they were both in the first one.
Mm-hmm. And then I heard some people were shitting on it because it's a girl. Yeah.
Not only girl, a indigenous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Sometimes
believe
you
me,
just I slap humanity.
I've never seen so many references to Ellen Ripley and Sarah Connor when a movie was not out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and even I won't go there.
Right, we're not going there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was kind of annoying. I'll just say that much.
That is. I said, and that's sad that we've gotten to that point.
That's you're pushing going there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mikey.
Yeah.
My turn.
Come on. Yes.
Gosh. Actually, I'm going to be laming out probably a lot for the next few weeks because I am starting to prepare for October, which means I'm watching stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. I will say this: it's going to be interesting. I have watched one thing and started watching another, and I think we're going to have some interesting discussions in October. I think it will be fun. I may have questions before then, but not actually on the show, because that would be missing the point of revealing nothing. But it's going to be fun. I'm already looking forward to it more than I thought I would be. Given the topic that we're addressing in October, I didn't feel any immediate interest at when it was revealed to me, but having watched the first one, this is going to be interesting.
Let me ask you this. Without revealing anything, I'll just say the first one you saw, is it our special episode?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It is. I usually watch that one first because honestly, we usually record that one first.
We record yeah, because we recorded that in September. Yeah. I understand. Yeah, and that was kind of what I was figuring.
I wanted to let it stew around in my head, but I had immediate feelings, which was weird for me.
The theme of this, all the horror, or the horror month, is probably my favorite, scariest thing ever. They're just creepy,
Wow. Okay. This is really going to be good. Mm-hmm. Stay tuned, folks.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that basically chewed up a lot of my week. I had family stuff to deal with over the weekend, so I didn't get to do a whole lot more than that. But
that is what they call a tease.
Ah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
A little bit.
That's what they call devotion.
Okay, Les?
This week I was binging, watching Gotham. I sat down and decided, let's see what we got here. So I rewatched Gotham. And the ending, the last episode, in fact, the last season, which was the short season, was fascinating because they kept tossing new villains into the mix. And you got references to The Dark Knight Returns, things like that. So it was fun. It was one of those I said, oh, I remember this part. But it was solid. It was a solid representation. So I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they ended it like they did. So
why did they end that one?
I'm sorry?
Why did they end that one?
It was just failing. It wasn't doing well.
I thought it was for like a spin-off or something.
No, they took it right up to, it was all about Gordon. The whole series was about Gordon until the very end. And that's where Bruce came back. This is several years old, so I'm not spoiling it.
Yeah, you're not.
But Bruce returned, and that's when he was Batman. So you don't get to see Batman till the very end of the series.
I don't think I watched the last episode.
Well, if you get the chance, watch the whole...
Or last season, I meant.
Last season, because it's all entangled. And yet it was so... It's one of those I went... They really handled this well. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Cool. I'll have to go back and watch that again.
I don't think you'll be disappointed.
That's one of those I can't remember why we didn't watch the last season. I don't know if... I thought there was a delay and then HBO was going to make a series or something, so they had to hurry up and finish that so they could. Maybe I'm thinking a different show, though. Didn't HBO do like a Gordon show?
They're going to do HBO Max is going to do a Penguin series based off the Batman movie.
Well, and it's not necessarily Gordon, but they've talked about doing Gotham Central.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I don't know if that's still in the pipeline after everything else has been going on.
At this point, we're not sure HBO Max is still in the friggin' pipeline, but whatever.
It probably won't be around in another year, but there'll be something in its place. But
cool.
Well, for me, kind of the same thing as last week. Just a lot of stuff, personal stuff going on. I was really wanting to do some work for October. Hopefully I can get something done this week. Well, we got plenty of time, but because I'm already two movies in, so I'm in good shape. I'm not worried, but I was really hoping to get something done, but life just didn't let me this time.
Life is so needy sometimes.
Life's like a rock.
I was not expecting a Bob Seger reference with that, but okay.
He can do that. He's good at that.
I actually don't think it was a Bob Seger reference, but
no, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was the pause that threw me off. You paused for effect, and I totally my brain shut off at that point. Sorry.
Maybe.
We already talked dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You ever talk too much dog, though?
Yeah. You sure can.
Okay. Before we get into this week's discussion, do like to point out, I think we've already mentioned it, we do have a Discord where we usually post like news items, stuff for discussion, fun stuff, memes, all that kind of stuff. So if y'all want to hang out with us, y'all are more than welcome to. It's free to sign up. The app is in all the stores, and that's free as well. We do have an open invitation on our homepage, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Come hang out with us, and we're hoping to try to do some fun stuff. We haven't really done any kind of activities on Discord recently, but who knows? We've got some stuff coming up. We might try to do something for Halloween, and of course, we've done something for New Year's the last couple of years, and we'll probably do something like that again, and something before then probably. Who knows? So, if you want to hang out with us, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, come hang out with us.
Yeah. Join us.
We dare you.
What are you, chicken?
Alrighty. We are continuing Classic TV Month, and for this week, we're going to spend a little time in a tavern in Boston named Cheers. This ran from September 30th of 1982 to May 20th, 1993. I thought it ran a little bit longer than that, but that's a good long time. That's 275 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good run.
11 seasons is nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's not. So let's talk a little Cheers.
Well, I liked it. This was one of those ones I was surprised we were allowed to watch because it took place in a bar. They were drinking, but I liked it. I liked it up until when Shelley Long left. I didn't care for Kirstie Alley very much. To me, Rebecca just felt forced. And I don't know. She just never clicked with Sam the way that Shelley Long did, And I'm not talking about romantic, because I think that Sam and Diane actually did better apart from each other than they ever did together. So that was kind of one of those, they had to figure that out for themselves,
You mentioned that. That is another example, and I think it's been mentioned before. I may have mentioned it before several episodes back, with the whole thing with moonlighting, with the whole thing with Sybil Shepherd and
Bruce
Willis.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing of them always kind of at each other, and it's like, okay, are they actually going to get together or not? And then when the writers decided, yeah, let's do it, and then that's when things kind of went downhill. In a way, that's kind of what happened here with Sam and Diane. Not to the degree that it happened with Moonlighting, because they kind of worked around it and all that, and obviously it went on a little bit longer than Moonlighting, so they were able to recover. But it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, it's really great that you've got this kind of chemistry, and they want to, but they don't, and they love each other, but they hate each other, and it's like, and then it's okay, well, let's just go ahead and take the plunge. It's like, maybe that was not a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, it would help if you have a plan for how that's going to work after, and that's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Is because sometimes it's the kind of thing that can throw the chemistry off enough that it just stops working.
Right.
Especially if you don't have a plan.
Well, but the tension between the two was more entertaining than the relationship was.
Sure.
You know, so it was just kind of I don't know. I guess watching Shelley Long, it was she was strong and independent, and she'd been left at this bar by her fiance, and, total opposite of what Sam was. So it was kind of like, yeah, girl, stick your ground. And then they kind of made her waver in that. It was kind of like, this isn't going to work. All through the show, we learned what Sam's type was. And it was pretty much anything breathing, I think she had too much substance for him. I know that sounds horrible, but the character Sam was a womanizer, recovering alcoholic. I'm not saying she was. I am saying that she was better than that. That's all he wanted was the bar. She wanted more out of that, and what she wanted out of life, she couldn't get from a bar. So I kind of felt like when they finally put them together, it was her settling.
It was her losing.
Yeah.
Losing the battle.
Yep. To something that was never going to work because they were too different, And I know they played him to be dumb and her to be real smart, but honestly, no discrimination there. But when you put those two kind of people in a relationship together, usually it's not going to work, The quote dumb one's going to get tired of being talked down to, and the smart one, you have no one to talk to. It's not about what she wanted to anyways. He didn't understand that, He didn't want to understand what she wanted. So.
Right. He would at best put forth a token effort to try to understand, and he would give up real fast.
Yep.
And I mean, part of that was just the teasing the whole thing along.
Yep. And then I think Kelsey Grammer was actually the male version of her. That would have been an interesting pairing. Crazy as that sounds, but that would have been cool. But I heard on set she couldn't stand him. So maybe that wouldn't have worked.
It seems like after a while she couldn't really stand anybody, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, she wanted more. And,
she wanted more than a starring role in a hit TV show. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Wait, are we talking about Shelley Long or are we talking about Diane here?
Right. We're talking about Shelley Long.
Okay.
Think in the 90s. If you were on a TV show, more than likely, you were not going to be in a movie. You were a TV actor, and usually TV actors didn't, or if you were Brad Pitt, was not going to star on a TV show for longer than a star appearance. You know what I'm saying? You just didn't mix those kind of actors. Now in the day that we live with YouTube and TikTok and everybody's a fucking celebrity, you can kind of mix those. And we see these bigger name celebrities who don't mind taking TV shows for Netflix. Or, hell, Kevin Costner right now with Yellowstone. Look, he's star-studded. You wouldn't have seen that before. Kevin Costner was too big of a name to put on TV, Your next movie, yeah.
Tom Selleck was on the TV show, and he made pretty good with his movies.
He did some movies. He's still
True.
on a TV show. Or
Yeah.
he's on a TV show again, I guess.
Yeah.
But most of the time you didn't see that. Usually you had your movie actors and then you had your TV actors, which I run into the problem sometimes when we're doing our casting call. Because it's like, oh, that guy wouldn't, in the 60s, he wouldn't have been in a TV show. He would have only been on, Broadway, or there was just certain actors who didn't do that. TV was
we've been
beneath
meaning to talk to you about that, by the way. No, I'm kidding. I say screw it. Casting
and most of the time, when movie actors are on their way out the door, that's when they did the TV specials, because it was looked
It
on
was a
at
paycheck.
that point as a lesser than. Yeah.
It was not the paycheck you're getting from a movie, but it was a paycheck. And I mean,
Right.
I think a lot of the stigma there, if we want to call it that, and it may not even be an accurate term, but a lot of it was that movies just flat paid better.
Yeah.
And so when you're already making that movie money, it doesn't make sense to go back and do TV work for way less. I think that line is a lot blurrier now.
Oh, way blurry. And probably right around this time period, or a little bit later.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like a few years later, you get Friends, and a couple seasons into that, and that's all of a sudden they start getting these humongous paychecks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I think it was Seinfeld where the big paychecks started.
Well, I was just using Friends as an example.
Right. But no, that was a good example, because I think they were making $1 million per episode.
Something like that, yeah.
Each.
Yeah. Big Bang Theory, but before it went off the air, Sheldon Cooper, I cannot remember his name for the life of me now. I think he was making 1.5. That's like unheard of. You put 20 episodes, they're paid almost what you would for a movie,
Yep.
And that usually did not happen, So to say all of that, to say she wanted to break from TV, not necessarily the TV show, but she wanted a break from TV to get into movies. And nobody would have put her into a big movie, especially with all the production demands that you have for being on a TV show, a weekly TV show.
But she did get on on movies.
She did. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
she did. And she did really good there for a while, too, after she left Cheers. I loved her in that Girl Scout movie,
Camp Beverly Hills.
Camp Beverly
I have
Hills.
no idea why that title just jumped into my head. I've never seen the movie.
Guilt.
Yeah. She was always one of my favorites. And during that time, her and Marky Post were like my female idols.
Well, they showed those shows back to back, if I remember correctly, for a while, several years.
Pretty sure you're right. Yep.
Yeah.
Tuesday night, wasn't it? Or was it Thursday? I forget which.
One of them. Yeah.
Thursday.
I'm thinking
night.
Thursday. Yeah. Yeah, Thursday seems to ring at the.
Because that was the night that Seinfeld was on, and it became Friends, and they were there before that.
Yep. Big night for sitcoms for a long time.
Oh yeah, that's the start of the must see TV thing with NBC.
Era, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Shelley Long wound up leaving in 1987. And the last episode that she was in, what was the name of it? I Do a Do. They filmed it with 3 endings, so not even the producers knew if she was leaving or staying. And they said that only the audience that was there when they shot one of them was able to see them get married. So one of the endings was her getting married. One of them was her leaving. And I forget what the third ending possibly was. I think just her staying there at the bar and not getting married. But they said that episode, over 24 million houses turned in to watch. And then she came back, not 6 months later like she said she would, but for the finale, where actually the last episode was kind of the producers giving the fans, okay, here's what you wanted. They're together. They're going to get married. And they pretty much came to the decision that we can't stand each other. We can't get married. We're nothing alike or anything. So it was kind of neat for them both to be like closed. You know?
Yeah, this is stupid. Why are we trying to do this? 11 years in, right?
Yeah. And I think he said he was in love with the bar, and that would always be his first love. So then he turned the lights off after he adjusted the who's that, Geronimo from Coach. That was another thing. I don't think they really handled Coach's death very well at all. He died halfway through that season, and they never even said anything. And then at the start of the 4th season, it was like, oh, by the way, Coach died. And then 3 episodes later, oh, hey, here's Woody. He's going to be taking Coach's place. I just think that when you have someone who worked up to the day they died, you should have had some kind of episode marked out for them, And not just for the real life person, but that was Sam's coach. That meant, he meant a lot to him. So just to take an episode to close it out for him, that the character, not the person. But
that's tricky to do with a comedy, though.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing. I mean, you're taking you have to decide which episode during a season you're going to basically slam on the brakes and completely change your format for an episode, and that's hard to do. It is really a lot easier. I mean, admittedly, it's the easy way out to just not do it like they did, but it's to do it poorly is very easy also. And I think that may have been what they were afraid of. It was basically just screwing the whole thing up, because that wasn't really their thing. They're working on a comedy here.
See, I don't think episodes like that are meant for anybody else other than the fans to say goodbye to, though. Ted Danson was probably invited to his funeral. The fans who got to know Coach and love Coach never got to say their goodbye. That's what kind of sucks when they don't do that. It's, one thing to not want to have to deal with it, but you kind of have to throw the script out the window at that point, because you've got to let your fans say goodbye. We've made you love this guy, but to not mention it until kind of an afterthought.
The problem is that the guy made you love the guy. That's different. The guy's not there to fix that. Yeah. So that's right. What makes it hard. Is anything they do is going to pale in comparison to anything that was already there, to the relationship that everybody had with Coach. They couldn't do it well, and the fact that they recognized that and tried to find a way to move on. I mean, I'm not saying I'm giving them credit for doing exactly the right thing, but it was the safe way out. It was the way that wouldn't ruin everything, because the deal is if you do that episode and you fuck it up, you ruin however many seasons of that show for people. Yeah. 3 seasons of that show would be just ruined, because everybody would just be pissed, and you'd lose viewers. And given the ratings this show got, you'd lose a shitload of viewers.
Yeah.
So you really don't want to do that. You don't want to screw it up.
Well,
it's kind of.
Go ahead.
It's kind of a damn if you do, damn if you don't. The only show I can think of where they did something like that was Barney Miller. They took one whole episode where they did a tribute to Jack Sue after his passing. I can't think of any others where something similar has happened.
John Ritter. 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Daughter. He died on the set. And, of course, you're going to have to, like I said, kind of explain this to your fans. And they handled it in a way as if the dad actually just died. And although it was a comedy, show, the way that they handled it, like when you watch them kind of go through the grief process, it kind of helped us at home who were hurting, not just for, the TV show we liked, but the man that we liked. Well, and I thought they handled that pretty well too. And
don't nobody take this the wrong way. I think that's a little different because John Ritter was the star of the show. We're not talking about a support actor or supporting character, which Coach and I can't remember what Jack Sue's character was on Barney Miller. That's a little different. That's a little different than your star
That's
died.
true.
Right. If it had been Ted Danson, they would have done something different.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because like I said, not only was it because who he was on the show, it was what made him popular before the show. I think was what they handled well, because they did do an episode, and I think afterwards they kind of showed clips of his life. So, but you're absolutely right. Had it been Kelly Cuoco who died instead, I don't think they would have addressed it that way. But that was John Ritter,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Or as most people knew him, Jack.
Jack.
It's Jack.
Believe me, it was hard. I almost said Jack. I was like, that's not right. That's not right. That's not right.
We'll get
Jack
there.
Tripper, John Ritter, it kind of...
We'll get there, folks. Just be patient.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, although I do love the addition to Woody to Cheers. And it was sweet that he was pen pals with Coach, so they kind of tied the two together to where I think fans were willing to accept Woody at that point. And I can't think of a lot that Woody Harrelson was in before Cheers. I know he had done things, not saying he didn't have a name, but I think Cheers kind of put him on that map to where when he came out with Natural Born Killers, people wanted to see Woody like that. Woody snapped. And I think that's kind of what made him successful afterwards, is because people wanted to see him different from that, And it worked. So, yeah, I liked Woody. He wasn't Coach, but he kind of was. Coach had trained him. Coach had taught him, by mail. And it was nice, the finale, how they kind of wrapped his life up, too. He's a politician and still working at the bar.
Well, sure. Being a politician doesn't pay anything, right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
But he was married to the richest woman. So it was kind of weird, I think they handled that pretty well, too. Because I think his was, I want to keep my self-worth kind of thing. Because he didn't know she was rich until they went to get married. And then, by the way, but she was kind of cute, too, because she kind of matched his intelligence level.
You remember this show in way more detail than I do. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Have you watched it again?
I've watched some of it, but no. A lot of, Cheers was the kind of thing that you'd have your friends come over and that's, chilled out watching pizza on whatever night that was. Which was different than the nights that Twin Peaks came on and,
Probably a different group of friends, too.
Yeah.
Right?
Where everybody knows your name.
Yeah, well, the other group was where everybody knows Laura Palmer's name.
Yeah. And he killed her. And that sucks. Well,
We're not going off on Twin Peaks now, no.
Right.
Please.
But another network is what killed that show. They leaked the ending of it. Nobody was supposed to know who killed Laura Palmer, and then the rival TV people were the ones who leaked the ending, or who did it. So they had to wrap that up real quick. Like, that's pretty fucking shitty,
It went 2 seasons.
Yeah.
They made a movie after that, too, didn't they?
Yeah.
At least one.
Well, after everything was spoiled, they kind of had a, okay.
Didn't they do another, reunion movie or something recently?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm on a lot of cough syrup right now.
Yeah.
I could be remembering something else.
But yeah, Cheers was one of those that I watched quite a lot. Like I said, I did watch a few, to catch up for this episode, but not.
She didn't binge the entire run.
No, a lot of this is just memory.
How could she possibly binge the entire run when she binged Sandman and she binged Paper Girls?
Right. Watched a couple of movies.
She watched movies, yeah. She didn't have time for all 11 seasons of this show. I remember watching it when back then, but when it was on, but I don't remember it in any detail. But there's other reasons for that.
Yeah.
I've never really been a sitcom guy.
and it's running reruns. I think now you can watch the first 4 seasons of it on Hulu. So I guess right up till the point of Diane leaving. Which, like I said, is probably the best. Yeah. But I don't know. Like I said, I think a lot of what I didn't like is I just didn't like Kirstie Alley as an actress. And any of the other stuff she had played in, and even now, it's like she just never... She tries to be funny, and her kind of funny's not funny to me, you know?
That's funny because I actually kind of think of her in a similar way. I mean,
Yeah.
she had started out in stand-up, and what little I've seen of her stand-up, I never found funny at all. So.
Well, at first I thought it was going to be pretty cool that she was going to be on there, because it was like, oh yeah, that was the chick with the really pretty eyes from V. And then I found out, no, that's her sister. Wrong girl.
Uh-huh.
Do you guys remember that? The TV series V? Or it was a TV special.
Yeah, it was like a miniseries type thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
I remember V.
And that chick with the beautiful eyes. She was evil. She had some pretty eyes.
Spoilers, she was a lizard.
Yeah.
What?
But even if you look at Kirstie Alley, though, she kind of has those eyes, because I forget her sister's name, but of course she had contacts for the lizard eyes, but her eyes before that was just really pretty. I don't know, there's something about them stands out, you know? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was kind of disappointed in that. And like I said, the stuff she did after it was always a look at me, pick me kind of stuff, and it was like, nah, she's done.
She was in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Was she?
She was in Star
Long
Trek.
before
She was
this.
Savick, yeah.
She
Hmm.
was the original Savick.
Yep.
There was a long and dramatic deal that ended up keeping her from coming back for Star Trek 3. They had to recast the character because she didn't come back.
Huh.
Yeah, I read something about that here recently. It was something something that Nimoy had talked about. Paramount, in their infinite wisdom, just signed her for a contract for one film.
Mm-hmm.
And then
It's like they didn't think they were going to make another one.
Right. Then they went back to her and said, "Hey, why don't you come back and all that?" And she put down a salary demand, and from what he said, it was higher than what they paid DeForest Kelley. And they're like, "Yeah, well, nice talk. Well, good luck. We'll get Robin Curtis."
And you know, when you do negotiations with her, you're not negotiating with her. You're negotiating with her church, because she's a Scientologist.
Yeah.
And if they don't like what you're doing, you're not going to do it. She's killed a lot of good actresses. Not killed as in their grave,
Not
but
murdered,
their
right.
careers are. You know?
But that was amazing reading. Either I saw a clip or I read something about that, and it was the fact that the salary amount that was being asked was higher than what they paid to Forrest Kelly. I was like, wow, that's some cojones right there.
Right, because you know she didn't make that much from 2.
Right.
And she's not really a
And she hadn't really
great
done that
actress.
much since then
No.
either. It wasn't really that much time had passed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and then she did that Bad Actress show, or I think that was the name of it, wasn't it? Like Bad Actress, and that was just bad. It was like, oh, honey, you need to hang it up, because this ain't it.
Well, she had a reality show too.
Did she?
was that
Yep.
not the same?
Everyone has.
It could be. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I just never cared for her. I may have liked her on Star Trek. I think I kind of remember Did she always wear? No, I
Yeah,
see
yeah,
her. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember her on there now.
Yeah, Fat Actress was the reality show. But she's had some others like Veronica's Closet, which I vaguely remember that.
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. This one she had put on some weight, and instead of, they kind of played on that, and to me that was always just kind of ew.
Then she had her series named Kirsty back in 2013, which lasted a season. So, yep. And then bits here and there. Les, your thought.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No?
No, I was just thinking, I think you're right. I think it was Veronica's Closet where they kind of played into her being heavier, and it was just kind of, eh.
Yes, 30 minutes of fat jokes are always fun to watch.
Yeah. It's like it's,
Very clever.
Yes.
Low-hanging fruit,
Rather witty.
Speaking about witty, Les, your thoughts?
I like Kirstie Alley. I thought she was a change after years of Diane there. We got a difference, which I thought was refreshing, mainly because you all of a sudden you had new characters, and that meant a lot because for too long it was getting too stagnant. And I thoroughly enjoyed the characters, but there does come a time when Nick and Loretta don't make it funny anymore. You had Cliff and you had Norm, the staples, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. But then you've got Paul and some others that would show once in a while, and you went, well, okay, why not give them a bigger role? That never happened. Granted, people like Norm and Cliff were great for carrying roles. And to me, Kirstie Alley did that with her character, especially when she got romantically involved with someone other than Sam. I thought that was a major part. You had Diane get romantically involved with Frasier, which was a great addition. But unfortunately, that's not a character that was going to carry this show much further. He did move on and do his own show, and it was eye-popping because you didn't have much of a restraint for those characters when Frasier was done. So there are a lot of different characters that definitely made their marks, rightly so, and some of them even went on to do more in the movie or in the film industry. So I watched it every week, loved it every week, just to hear some of the expected dialogue. So it was good, relaxing fun. And that's about all I got.
It was popular for a reason, for sure.
Yeah.
Very true.
It dawned on me about a couple of minutes ago that we've gotten this far into the discussion. No one's mentioned Carla.
She was her own breed of character.
Well, I did bring up Nick and Loretta,
Yes.
and there's a connection right there.
You
But,
would not have
yeah.
Nick and Loretta without Carla, for sure.
That's right. That's true.
I think when I heard she was married to Danny DeVito, I was not surprised. the person, now I know Rhea Perlman, interviews I've seen, she's very sweet and everything else, totally different than Carla, but I see Carla being the kind of person that it would take to control Danny DeVito. You know? And they're so cute together. So cute.
Are they still together?
I'm pretty sure they are, but I don't know that for a fact.
Separated in 2017.
Oh,
Aww.
wow.
Damn, I hate to hear that.
And just because I brought it up doesn't mean I caused it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, now.
Well,
Okay. They separated
separated.
in October 2012, got back together in March of 2013, and then separated again March 2017. They no longer live together, but they're not going to get divorced.
Yeah. She said that she'll never divorce him.
Bum, ba, bum.
They were a cute couple. I hate to see that. And I loved her and Diane's relationship a lot more than her and Rebecca's. She fed off Diane a lot better. Because Diane was like everything she hated in a woman. So.
Yeah, Carla loved giving her hell.
Mm-hmm. And she cared a lot about Sam. She may not have shown it all the time, but she wouldn't have stuck around as long as she did if she hadn't. And didn't they kind of hint that she kind of saw him through the bad times, too?
I believe they hinted at that a couple of times, yeah.
Yeah. And that she was kind of there to keep him in check. And, you know, sometimes you have those friends. They're the only ones who'll call you on your shit, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay, speaking of your shit, Liz, we need to talk. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Mute. What was that? I can't hear you anymore.
How convenient.
Hello?
I'm
Damn it, I was getting ready for this.
She hung up.
I'd known it was that easy. Damn. No, I'm kidding again. I'm kidding. I mean, another one we haven't done a whole lot of talking about here is Sam.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the glue holding all of this together for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't think he even understood why, but...
I thought it was kind of a neat concept to have a recovering alcoholic own a bar.
Uh-huh.
So that was kind of cool.
It is an interesting choice.
And a star pitcher, star reliever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Back in the time when being a relief pitcher wasn't really that prestigious a thing, but, you know, that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
True.
Well, and if he couldn't do what he really loved, I could see, you know, the bar being his fill-in, but... And Norm.
I was gonna say, are we talking about baseball or are we talking about drinking? Ted Danson's another guy who's on TV again.
Yep.
I don't think he ever went off TV.
Not for very long. He's managed
Yeah.
to find new shows to do, for sure.
Yeah.
And he did movies outside of this.
He
Yep.
did.
He did.
He had,
With Kirstie Alley, didn't he? With 3 Men and a Baby?
was Kirstie Alley in that?
No.
No.
I thought she was.
You're thinking about Look Who's Talking.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
yeah,
yeah.
I am. It was a baby movie.
Close enough, right?
They're all the same.
It wasn't dogs, so I didn't remember the name.
What?
Exactly.
Lord help me.
So what about Norm?
I like Storm. He had a good comeback for everything. And did we ever see his wife, Vera?
No.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah. I think we saw her about as much as he did.
Well, maybe they both liked it better that way. Who knows?
Yeah,
That's why they're so happily married.
true. And then you had Clayman, full of the useless facts.
I could always relate to that guy for some reason. I'm not sure why.
I mean, sometimes it was kind of interesting, but it was always, why now? Where the hell did this come from? You know, which is usually what Norm would tell him. What the fuck, man? Well, not that way, because it was, you know, prime TV.
Because it was the 80s and primetime television, right?
Nowadays on streaming services, yeah, he can get away with that.
He would totally use that line. But yeah.
Yeah.
What the actual fuck?
Did your mama drop you?
Damn.
And he was, what, a mailman?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. They got on Jeopardy.
That's right. When his useless facts came in handy.
Until they asked him that last question. What was the question? There were 3 people listed. He said, what do they have in common? And Cliff's answer was, they had never been in his kitchen.
Which was true.
Yeah, it was an amazing time for them to get on Jeopardy, because didn't B. Arthur do that on Golden Girls?
That I don't recall. I couldn't verify that.
It seemed like everybody had to have one episode where they appeared on Jeopardy, so they can get
which is great publicity for Jeopardy.
Well, true.
Not that it needed it at that point. It was pretty popular anyway.
Yeah.
That's how you know you made it, I guess.
That or Hollywood Squares.
Okay, Liz, you brought up Norm and his comebacks. What was your favorite Norm comeback?
Oh, man.
Test her detail for memory.
There you go.
Right.
Yep.
Sorry, it had nothing to do with dogs, okay?
Yeah.
Well, it did. For me, it did, but okay. Go ahead.
I can't really think of one. Like I said, it was always, he always had something quippy, and it was always the perfect comeback, whether it was related to what he was coming back to or not. What's your favorite?
Mine was, how you doing, Norm? It's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.
Can confirm because he uses that a lot.
And it didn't hurt that George Wendt was really damn good at delivering those lines.
Oh God, yes. The cast was pretty impressive. That was a great cast.
Yeah, it was. And they all went on to do other things after. So.
Some of them have been doing it before too. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only one that really wasn't as popular was Lilith, which she made a couple of cameos on Frasier. But I can't really remember her being anything big after.
She actually did a lot of work on Broadway.
Yeah.
Yeah. P.B. Newworth.
Yeah.
Yep. She's a stage actor.
I also saw she was on Star Trek.
Yes.
Well, she was.
So
was on.
So was Kelsey Grammer. So what?
Yes.
Not at the same time that I recall, but
No.
Grammer did one of the X-Men movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Beast.
Yep. And that was such great casting.
Yep.
I was like, yes.
Oh, the voice.
The
voice was perfect for Beast. He really was.
The voice, and then spouting out. You know, I mean, it's basically Kramer except for he's blue hair.
Frasier.
You know, Frasier, yeah.
Yeah, which is perfect because I mean, if I'm not remembering correctly, or if I am remembering correctly, Kelsey Grammer as Frasier still stands as the longest running character in a comedy show played by one actor.
Yeah.
Because of the many years of Frasier after Cheers.
Right.
He was on Cheers for 5 or 6 years. And then turned around and did like 12 more or something on Frasier.
Yeah.
He did that from 93 to 2004.
So yeah, 11, 12 seasons.
Yep. Yeah, and that's after his Cheers stint.
Yeah, it was right after. It was like the next season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a pretty cool show.
Yep.
They don't make them like that anymore.
No. And if they did, I don't think it would be as interesting. You know?
Care to expound?
Just the people that they had with, what they brought to the show and everything. I don't see people being interested in watching a show about a bar anymore, though. It was the characters that you were watching. You know what? I don't know. I just don't think it would be a successful TV show.
If the writing's there, it would be successful.
See, and that where I was getting ready to go was I think that the way shows were written back then was actually I think they write shows differently now.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily anybody's fault. It's like a generational issue. I mean, the people who write shows now were not really, some of them not even alive when Cheers was on, and so it's not the same. I mean, for better or for worse, it's different.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of why you're not going to get something that's the same as something that was 30 years ago, 40 years ago. God, I'm old.
Like with Sam and Diane, with them skirting around, they kind of had to for, TV, to where today they would just, screw on the bar. Things aren't as taboo as they used to be.
I think that probably plays into it too.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a different It's a different world, although that was a different show,
Yep, it was.
Yep, it was.
which we haven't gotten to yet.
Same time period, right?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was after
It
Cosby.
was post Cosby or the end of Cosby.
Same bad time.
Oh, that's a different show too. We have talked about that one.
Yeah. Yep, we have.
Is that the one we did after the Blob?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Different World was 87 to 93.
Yep. Cool. Yep. Right about the same time as this one.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Any final thoughts other than check the show out if you've not, or if it's been a while since you've watched it, check it out again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're all about the nostalgia this month.
Except first 4 seasons on Hulu.
I did see that Peacock looks like the first season is available for free, but it does have all 11 seasons.
Makes sense.
So.
It was on NBC.
Yep.
I have Peacock. I didn't see that on
Sure
there.
you do. You have all of them. What are you talking about?
I didn't see that.
On that note, we are going to take a quick break and come back with Geek News for you. And we are back. It is time for our Geek News for You news segment. And this is where we bring a couple items to the table for discussion. For this week, it is Mikey and myself. And Mikey, would you like to go first?
Sure. I got a little comic news coming up here. I know, right? I almost never do that anymore. But anyway, coming soon, next month specifically, from Dark Horse Comics, is an anthology series called Shock Shop. And this is probably to start off with anyway, a short run series of horror stories from our buddy and I think award nominated writer Cullen Bunn, and also from artist Danny Luckert, who's worked with him a couple of times, specifically on, what was the name of that book? Shit, I didn't look it up. My bad. Anyway, some cool stuff. They've done some cool stuff together in the past, and they're putting together this anthology series now. The first issue is coming out next month in September, early September. It's got a couple of interesting looking stories, and it's Cullen Bunn, it's Danny Luckert. It's gonna be fun in a scary, creepy sort of way, of course.
Gonna be some good stuff.
I think so.
Kicking it off with a beautiful cover.
Oh yeah, this is a very nice cover.
Cool.
Very nice.
So be looking for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Contact your comic shop as soon as you can, because betting that you're going to want to get the order in soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What I have, it was an interesting read. It's something I hadn't really thought about before. News item, is it news item worthy? No, but that's kind of it. Well, I mean, that's one of my pet peeves about popular culture journalism now. It's like, someone may do, in this case, it is an interview. They'll scroll through, take out a couple of items from it, and then they'll do 3 or 4 blogs. That's 3 or 4 news items based off that one interview, and that irritates the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But but it's all about clickbait. That's the way things are today. So that's my 2 cents on that. But from this is coming off an interview with Peter Jackson. And this is and it was interview with a Hollywood Reporter. But when I read this, I was like, okay, yeah, something I hadn't really thought about. But in the interview, he mentioned that he considered seeing a hypnotist after finishing up the Lord of the Ring trilogy. And the reason why he was going to do that is he was lamenting at the fact that he was jealous about the rest of us to go see these films for the first time and see the total experience, where he's seen it every day for 6 years, the behind the scenes and the nitty gritty. So he wasn't going to have the joy and all of that like we did when we watched it on the screen for the first time. And I thought that was kind of interesting because that's something something I never thought about. You know, it's kind of sad. I mean, he's happy that they were made and all that, but you know, the sense of wonder and awe and of seeing the films for the first time, he couldn't have that because he knew everything. He was there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, and it's kind of sad because you know those were beautiful films, and I could totally see it and kind of empathize or sympathize because, or maybe it's just me. Oh.
No. I think he had said that's why he's excited to see the new ones. They were supposed to send him a script because they asked him to be involved first, and he was like, well, I can't say yes until I see a script. And then they never sent them one. So he
Which
was like,
should be a red flag for him.
Yeah. Well, he was kind of like, no hard feelings, because now I can go in and watch this just like you guys. You know, I have no idea what's going on.
And that was kind of mentioned in this article as well, is the fact that they wanted him to be like a executive producer or something like that. He says, yeah, well, send me some scripts for me to read and we'll see about it. And
Nothing.
They didn't want him that bad, apparently.
Yeah.
They didn't want him to actually do anything. They just wanted his name on it. Willing to bet that's where it came from.
Well, they just wanted his name as that would bring other people. Go, well, he's obviously okay with it because he's executive producer.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes you wonder what's going to happen.
I'm curious what it's about, because they said that the only rule that they really had, other than that you had to stay close to the material, was they couldn't do it too close to Jackson's. And so they said this will take place 1,000 years before. So I'm kind of curious who was there 1,000 years ago. So has there been a book?
You'll need to talk to Mikey. But
my understanding, and I have not really heard that much about it yet, is that they're basically, I mean, there is stuff from the stuff that his son put out after he died that hints around some of the history in a time frame like that. I don't think they're going to that material specifically. I think they're inventing new stuff for this while trying to keep it realistic, for lack of a better word.
Right.
So I don't know how deep into that it gets. I'm not sure, but there is stuff they can pull from. There is stuff they could get like stylistic ideas from, or vague story bits. But there's nothing specific in a time frame like that. Anything they have specific is going to go further back than that.
Yeah. So might be pretty good then. Have we got a release date on it yet?
I
don't know if we do or not.
Premieres on Prime Video September 2nd.
Oh, there you go.
September
That's pretty soon.
Pretty soon, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'm interested to see.
I am somewhat curious too.
Yeah. I mean, of course I'll watch it, but I'm actually interested to watch this one.
All right. Go ahead.
And I was just going to say, why? Why does this interest you?
Just I always have liked that kind of time period kind of stuff, that, medieval and that kind of thing. I really like the Lord of the Rings, but I'm not a super fan, so I don't know all the material. So I'm kind of, I'm just kind of curious where they're going to take this, because I didn't know there was material before that other than like The Hobbit. So, and that wasn't too far ahead of Lord of the Rings, right?
No, that's true.
Yeah, I was just curious because what I do know of the Lord of the Rings doesn't sound going to be in this. Unless what, Sauron? I guess he would have been around that long.
In some form or fashion, yeah.
Yeah.
That depends.
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
Yep.
Not yellow.
Nope.
Yeah, right. All right. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
Don't think so.
No.
Nothing here.
Okay. We will move on to our regular shout-outs. First off, we want to thank Pop Goes the Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be a part of a great group of fellow podcasts. Definitely check them out. There's a link in our show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who've been so kind as to spread the word of the fellowship on Twitter by retweeting our links. They are the Pottern family. And the best way to check them out is just to do a search, hashtag Pottern family, all one word. Just scroll through whatever catches your eye. Please click on that link, download that episode, and we hope you have a good time listening to them. Thank you guys, as always, for your support. Want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying the music to our podcast. In our show notes, there will be a link to where you can check out their music. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We appreciate your support and value your feedback. If you have a question, complaint, observation, what have you, please send them our way. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or you can go to the website, go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form you can fill out. We did mention our Discord earlier. If you join there is a channel specifically for feedback that you can post your comments there. Social media, we are on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks. We're on Instagram @Fellowship Geeks. That's also our Twitter handle @Fellowship Geeks. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found @MikeyGeek. Liz can be found @LN_geek. Les may or may not be found @FakeLesWebster. And I can be found @TomTCGeek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you would be so kind as to to rate and review our show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Please join us on Discord.
Yes, please do. Thank you for listening, everybody. We do appreciate your support as always. Until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,